Namaste.
Namaste, everybody.
So welcome to the 9th session of Sahaja Yoga meditation course. And today we will know more about our 6th energy center, that is our Agnya Chakra, which is the door. And the essence of this chakra is thoughtless awareness. So let's feel this experience of thoughtlessness and let's go deep in meditation.
And for today's session we have again a dear guest with us. It's Mandakini, an old friend of ours. And Mandakini, you are an activist, you work for decades in technology management, you are a writer, right. And you're also a yoga teacher.
That's right.
That's quite a large, it's like a bunch of flowers.
Yes.
How do you keep up with all those things and still stay balanced and calm?
Well, actually all these things develop naturally in my life, and I'm sure almost all of it happened through Sahaja Yoga. Some of it was given from my past, from my family, and it never became a burden to me because I never felt that I was doing anything. Mm-hmm. I always knew through Sahaja Yoga, of course, that there's a power flowing through me and I just have to allow it to flow. Mm-hmm. So it never became a burden as such. And in fact, as you probably saw in the last session where you had about Vishuddhi, so when you become a witness, you actually even just see yourself as an actor and you're not the doer.
Okay, so, wonderful state. I think that sounds like the state we should all try to be in.
Definitely.
Yeah, it would make things much easier.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to mention today also, both of you being Indian and me being British. Mm-hmm. Today is a special day for you, but I also feel very much with it. It's the Independence Day of India.
Yes.
Yeah, out of respect for that, I put on my favorite kurta, which my wife brought from Calcutta. Right?
Oh,
this is
wonderful.
a typical Bengali embroidery.
Yes.
Right. And that's one of the aspects that I always admired about India, is the beauty of the culture and the colorfulness. Mm. Like, where is your sari from?
Oh, it's from Kerala, and of course it's the color white, so it's the color in the center of the Indian flag, as you know. And how about your sari?
Yeah, it's from Assam. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's actually hand woven.
Beautiful
sari, and yeah, I love whatever is done with hand, and so I'm wearing it. It expresses the beauty of India. That's and right. Also the colors. Somehow I tried to match with orange and green.
Fantastic. And you're wearing green, so we are,
a bit of a flag we have.
Yes, we have the Indian flag. That's wonderful.
Yeah, so to start with today's session, we would like to hand over the session to you, Mandakini. And can you please tell us how the session will follow?
So today I plan to start with a small film. Mm-hmm. It's got a poem written by Sri Mataji when she was just a child. And I've selected this little snippet for you all so that it really illustrates the quality of the Agnya, which is humility, and which is also a state of detachment without identification. And then I plan to proceed with a small presentation about the Agnya, the qualities of the Agnya, what could be an impediment to the Agnya, which being the 6th center is the gate to spiritual enlightenment. And then I'd like to have a small meditation session with all of you. And then we'd follow up with a talk by Sri Mataji where she speaks about the quality of the Agnya in the light of Sri Buddha. As you know, Buddha and Mahavira lived in India, were born in India, and they lived about approximately 400 to 500 years before Jesus Christ. And these are 3 incarnations or 3 qualities or personalities that express the quality of the Agnya. And so, which is why I've selected that talk. And then right after that, we have some beautiful songs, which are actually dedicated to Mother India. And so please join us and welcome to this evening.
be smaller, like a dust particle which moves with the wind. It goes everywhere, can go sit on the head of a king, or can go and fall at the feet of someone. And it can go and sit everywhere. But I want to be a particle of dust that is fragrant, that is nourishing, that is enlightening.
I am immensely joyous to see all of you here. The words get lost. They have no meaning. So many of you aspiring to ascend to that state where you would have complete joy, bliss and peace. In this country, we had a struggle of freedom. I was part and parcel of that. My parents were part and parcel of that. They were rich people, quite rich, I should say, from every standard. You'll be amazed, my father burnt all his suits. They were stitched in England. My mother burnt all her saris. They used to spin their own clothes and wear them. I had only one coat throughout my education. When I was in Lahore, which is terribly cold, sometimes can be like London. But we never grudged and never grumbled and never said that our father should have looked after us and done something. Why did he just sacrifice everything for the country? Never, never, never. That quality was created, I should say, by Mahatma Gandhi. He made everybody so transformed into a new personality. All the money that we had, everything that we had, all conveniences, all housing, everything was given up. Not only by my father, but so many of them. Otherwise, we could not have got our freedom. To get our freedom, this country has sacrificed so much. I must say Gandhiji had a special charm. I don't know how he managed. He was like touch of Midas, touched anybody, he became transformed. And he was an extremely strict man, very kind to me, to children. But he was an extremely strict man. He would not tolerate any nonsense at all. Throughout, if you study the way all these people were brought up, not only for freedom or independence, but even before that, for spiritual life, anywhere, there's one thing very common, is sacrifice. And the consciousness that you are doing something great. Consciousness that you are part and parcel of the whole. I've seen it with my own eyes, such people in this country, whom you may call legendary, but I've seen it. Thousands of people were killed and butchered, children died, nobody shed tears, nobody shed tears. Now, after that, we are here to get our freedom, to get the freedom for our spirit. to make our spirit free from our greed, lust, from your anger, from our conditionings, from our terrible ego.
So I hope you enjoyed that film with Sri Mataji's poem and her words. So many years ago, when our country, when India achieved independence, there was great cause for celebration. But Sri Mataji Nirmala Devi's one desire was to give us spiritual liberation. And every human being can achieve that through the Kundalini awakening and through the passage of the Kundalini through the Agnya Chakra. Once it goes through the Agnya Chakra, you experience your realization, your Kundalini awakening through a cool breeze on your hands or over your head, and mentally you feel it through thoughtless awareness. This is not something new. This is something that has been written off in Indian scriptures. Those of you who have studied yoga or know the Patanjali Yoga Sutras, it's said there that yoga chitta vritti nirodha. Yoga is the state of cessation of changes in your consciousness or of thoughtless awareness. And that happens when your Agnya Chakra is pierced by the Kundalini and your thoughts stop. So let's go on to a small presentation about the Agnya Chakra. So the Agnya Chakra is at your forehead level, and it has two petals, and these petals are well known in, let's say, modern terms as your ego or your superego. Now, what does that mean for a normal person? The ego is called ahankara in Hindi or in Sanskrit, which means I, the doer. It is where we identify with what we are doing and where we feel that we are agents in our lives or whatever we might be wanting or doing. This is sometimes just a false identity, and it leads us to become over-identified and ego-oriented, where this I becomes stronger or seems to be stronger than everything else. It begins to dominate. And the other petal is the superego, where we have our conditionings, where we have beliefs about ourselves and our identifications, which also becomes an obstacle. So we believe somebody or something to be good, and we associate certain things, and this is mostly from the past. And both of these things can be an obstacle to our spiritual development. So you can see them on the drawing, the two, left and right, those are the two petals, or ego and superego. So as Sri Mataji says here, the only way to get rid of the ego is to surrender. Don't let the ego be so bloated until it covers the heart. So to understand this as a normal human being, the ego covers the heart when you are not conscious of your pure soul, when we don't know that we are pure soul, but we are more identified with our doings, our place in the world, and we become heartless. We become cruel, sometimes even to ourselves. Here are the qualities of the Agnya Chakra in their, let's say, developed form. When the center Agnya is free, when it's enlightened, we are able to forgive. When on the left-hand side, the left petal, where we, if you remember, I spoke about conditionings, become free of the past. So we can look at things in a fresh way as they really are, rather than have them colored by our experiences or our expectations. And on the right-hand side, the enlightened Agnya is full of humility rather than ego. It's where we are able to sacrifice happily without feeling a sense of loss. So all these four, let's say, qualities develop in us when the Kundalini passes through this chakra, when we are in the state of thoughtless awareness. These qualities are not something that we can just impose on ourselves, but they actually blossom within us through Sahaja Yoga meditation. Knowing about them helps us to stay on the right track. So in our daily lives, if we remember that our Agnya can be sometimes blocked because we refuse to forgive, so we could just use the affirmation, I forgive, for example. Let's see what could stop us from proceeding through the Agnya. So here, as you see, the clouds have come and they have covered the beautiful Agnya where the light could go through, and in the center is the lack of forgiveness. It's where we carry resentment, where we keep stock of wrongs that were done to us, or things that we may have done wrong ourselves. And on the right hand side, of course, I've mentioned ego, and which causes aggression, which causes us to put ourselves above others, and where we become ultimately harmful to others. We become malignant rather than benevolent. On the left side, there are the conditionings where we also then put ourselves in some sort of, let's say, structure relative to others. So where we feel beneath others, where we feel oppressed by a system. And we are not conscious of the fact that we are children of God, divine, just like all of creation is divine. So somehow these beliefs cover up our inner light, and that's when we cannot really see clearly as the Agnya actually, a pure Agnya, is capable of seeing. So how do we cleanse the Agnya? Of course, we forgive. So that's the affirmation that we use. We can try it even just now. Everybody just stop for a moment and say inside, you could close your eyes and say, I forgive everyone, including myself. And if we do that in a wholehearted way, you will see that a sense of peace pervades your being. And those many-headed thoughts that often cloud your mind will fall away, and the heart begins to shine. The heart with its constant light, with its endless reservoir of peace and love and joy. So that's why the Agnya is known as the door to the kingdom of heaven. Because all you need to do is to open it through forgiving yourself and forgiving everybody. And when you're in nature, looking at the green earth, looking at the sky, feeling the joy of creation, and allowing yourself to be one with all of this, also removes those dark clouds that can often cover up the Agnya. The deity of Agnya is Sri Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ, if some of you know, before he was, or while he was being crucified, he actually said, O Lord, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And in that way, he manifested the powerful quality of forgiveness. He was so high above everybody else that he could actually see how wrong they were and ask for their forgiveness. He understood and yet forgave. So this is the quality that is awakened within us when our Agnya is open. We can see things clearly, but we do not allow them to cover up our inborn qualities of wisdom, of joy, and of loving understanding. So apart from Lord Jesus Christ, we had two incarnations in India. We had Sri Buddha and Sri Mahavira, and both of them in their own ways brought this quality of, let's say, selflessness. One of them by giving up the ego, which was Sri Buddha, and one of them was Sri Mahavira, who brought up the way of giving up conditionings. So let us hear the words of Sri Mataji about Sri Buddha and also about Sri Mahavira.
Today, we have decided to celebrate the Buddha Jayanti. It's the day of Buddha's birth. In the whole map of time, Buddha came to this earth at a time when it was so important for him to come. That time, especially in India, we had two types of people. One who were very ritualistic, trying to be extremely strict and disciplined. And the another were the people who were too much conditioned and were full of so-called devotion to God. So these two types of people were occupying the area of seekers. So it was necessary to neutralize these two styles of seekings. Buddha and Mahavira are in essence supported by Hanumana and Bhairava. That is, as you know, Gabriel and Saint Michael. The principle that took birth is the principle of a disciple. And this principle was born much earlier as the two sons of Sri Rama. This principle was brought on this earth and incarnated. One, to conquer the ego of human being. Another one, to conquer the superego of human being. Buddha, when he was born, he found that there was misery everywhere. And the misery, according to him, was due to the desires we have. So, to be desireless is the best way to achieve nirvana. That's what he came to conclusion. But how to become desireless? You are sitting in the sand, and if you see the sand doesn't get attached to anything. You put anything on it, it will not spoil anything. You put water, it will stick on, and as soon as you try to throw it away, the whole thing will disappear into thin air. So, to develop that kind of detachment or to develop a life which was desireless, was his aim. And that's why I say he was a disciple principle. So the disciple principle has to find out the way and method, while the guru principle are the people who have already found out, because he has to create a way and path. So he studied all kinds of books, went to many places, he read Upanishads, then he saw the people who are busy with Vedas and were doing all kinds of ritualism. With the rituals, they never got the realization, which is actually the first verse of Veda, is that by reading the Vedas and by doing all the rituals of the Vedas, if you do not become Vida, means self-realized. Vida what means to know. If you don't know the divine on your central nervous system, then you are just missing the point. It is all useless for you to read Vedas. So he went into various areas of search. As today we find many seekers have been going to many people to find out the truth. And he was tired, very tired. He thought all his seeking, all his working hard, all his efforts, everything has just made him tired. And he thought it was all fruitless. So he was lying under a banyan tree. And there the Adi Shakti gave him realization. When all your searches are over, people search in money, in power, in love, and all kinds of things. Ultimately, people start searching in various groups, cults, gurus, all kinds of things. Drugs, alcohols, whichever way are possible, they try to search. But when human beings try to search something, then in their movement they either go to the left or to the right. And he, being such an ardent seeker and such a truthful seeker, he could see very clearly that this is not the path of going left or right. But there has to be some ascent, but how to achieve it? Who is going to give him self-realization? All that tiredness, he laid down himself under a tree, and suddenly he got his realization. When he got his realization, he started understanding why this problem of conditioning and ego is there. He found out one thing, that people, when they read too much and try to understand through ritualism God, then they develop their ego. The other side, he found out that when people just with some desires go on praying to God, give me this, give me that, they become mad. And when he realized it, then only at that moment when he was tired, he got his realization.
So after the words of Sri Mataji, where she explained how realization happens, that it is without our effort and that it takes us away from our false identifications, let us enjoy that state, let us go towards the state. And I think last time you learned how to raise your Kundalini with your hands. So let's all do that together. Take our left hand before our sacrum bone and make these circles from the inside towards the outside 7 times, following the path of the Kundalini, and make 1 knot over the head. And repeat. So all the 3 channels are activated. The second time you make 2 knots. And the third time 1, 2, and 3 knots. And then keeping our hands open, let us make these arches over our heads 7 times for the 7 chakras, the 7 elements. Take your attention with each movement on the relevant chakra. And for a moment, let's take our attention inside. We can close our eyes and observe our inner state. As the Kundalini rises up and goes up over the Agnya Chakra into the Sahasrara, certain truths become clear to us. We begin to feel and to know. So with this knowledge, let us allow everything that is covering up our joy, everything that is weighing up the left side, making it heavy and perhaps even joyless, let us release that into Mother Earth by putting the right hand on the earth or toward the earth. Make sure you're sitting comfortably without constricting clothes. Loosen yourself and allow everything that's heavy, burdening, outdated, release it into Mother Earth. As you feel a little lighter, perhaps more joyful, then turn your right hand with the palm upward and take the left hand with the fingers up towards the sky. And let's release any excessive movement, heat, any kind of stress or pressure in the right side. Let's just release this energy toward the sky. We can pray to the Kundalini power, say, Mother Kundalini, please purify my attention. Or, quite suited to the ego, you can say, I am not the doer. And after a while, you will actually feel your thoughts slowing down, and the space between the thoughts will increase and grow larger. So when you can effortlessly stay in the moment without falling into darkness or into sleepiness or into restlessness, then take your right hand in front of your spine and slowly move it up, following your spine. We can do that together, all three of us, and you at home as well. And we'll raise it up, and at the same time we can say Om. We can place our hands back on our laps, the palms facing upwards, and just enjoy the reverberation, the resonance of the Om above our heads. And if anything comes up in our thoughts, our minds, we allow it to come and to disappear, just like shadows or sounds that come and leave on their own. The Kundalini is our spiritual mother, and she nourishes and cleanses all our chakras. Sometimes some residues start moving through the movement of the Kundalini. So it often helps to just say, I forgive, inside yourself as an affirmation. Just say inside, I forgive everybody, and I forgive myself. some bija mantras of the Agnya Chakra, and these have directly to do with the qualities of the Agnya, the left and the right side. So the mantra we can say is Ham Ksham. Ham means I am. So should we feel very, let's say, the correct word would be suppressed through conditionings, where we feel inferior or weak, then it helps to say Ham, I am. And the other one is Ksham, which means I forgive. And this is when we tend to think too much of ourselves and the ego gets injured in its delusion. So here we can always say Ksham, I forgive. So let us together just say Ham Ksham a couple of times and release the left and right petals of the Agnya to really enjoy the beautiful light of Agnya, the freedom that Sri Mataji spoke of, the reason why we all live actually, the freedom that we've always longed for. So let's say Ham Ksham together a couple of times. Let us again take the right hand in front of the spine and slowly move it up, following the spine, and let's feel our own vibrations over the top of our heads. And try it with the other hand. When the door of the Agnya Chakra is open, we experience ourselves in thoughtless awareness, and our Kundalini is already in Sahasrara. It manifests also as a cool breeze over our heads, something that we feel on our palms. So in enjoying the state of thoughtless awareness, once you've achieved it, you can always take the hand again in front of your spine, make these movements to make this state more permanent. So let's take the left hand in front of the sacrum bone, slowly move our hands along the spine, making circles for the 7 chakras and making a knot on top of the head. with the consciousness that what we are doing is activating the subtle system, the Sukshma Sharira. And then 3 knots by the 3rd time. So the 3 channels are activated, and then let us cover ourselves with all the qualities of the 7 chakras. So on the occasion of Independence Day, we want to celebrate also the freedom of India, and we have prepared some beautiful songs. One of them has been written by Sri Mataji, praising Mother India, Mother Kundalini, and Sri Mataji loved India very much. She was a very patriotic person, and she even stood up for the second song that we are playing. That's Vande Mataram, which actually means praise the mother, praise Mother India. The reason why we praise Mother India is because India is Yoga Bhumi. It's the place where many great souls were born, and where you can easily experience spirituality. Actually, the entire earth is holy. The entire earth and the universe are created by the divine power itself. But there are certain places where it's easier to experience that. So let us enjoy these beautiful songs.
Thank you, Mandakini, for this beautiful session.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank
Very,
you,
very
Hans.
nice you came.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
So today's session was about the door.
Yes.
Yes. So next week's session will be about the destination, which is above the Agnya Chakra, and that's the Sahasrara Chakra, and where we will experience this union with the all-pervading power. So let's wait for the next session then.
I think the subtitle of the next session is Going Deeper. So we'll see about that. And you mentioned that India is the Yoga Bhumi.
Yes.
And I'd like to take the opportunity to again congratulate all Indians for the Independence Day. And I'm saying that as a British person. And I'm saying it as a British person who has benefited from my visits to India, because Sri Mataji used to organize tours for Europeans and Americans, the Westerners, to come to India and experience India as the land of yoga. We didn't stay in cities, we didn't suffer in the traffic, we stayed in rural areas largely, in pendles, sleeping very close to nature, bathing in the river and in the sea, and connecting to next week's session, which is about going deeper. The visits to India from a spiritual perspective was really the vehicle that helped so many of us, really actually hundreds and thousands, to go significantly deeper. And I think this connection of liberation and the Yoga Bhumi, the liberation of India has given access for us to go to India for spiritual benefits.
That's right.
And it has been a very elevating experience many times to go again and again to India.
Wonderful.
Wonderful. So let's celebrate freedom and liberation through the music.
With these two beautiful songs.
Okay. So goodbye everybody, and enjoy the songs, and I think with that we'll finalize the session, and hope to see you next week for Sahasrara, the last chakra, and going deeper.
Namaste.
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 शुभ